Welcome back once more, Canonites. While we eagerly await the next episode of the Halo TV series, I figured we could kill some time with a little look at a piece of marketing, HaloTheSeries.tv. This website, modeled after the TV show's version of Dr. Halsey's computer, features tons of information that expands on the Silver timeline. Additionally, the website has been updated following the release of Episode 2, which we'll touch on here and there. With that though, let's begin. The site opens on a sort of login screen before bringing us to the main page. One of the first things we saw when the site launched was a note from Dr. Halsey saying that she's currently put a halt on all further development of the Cortana project by order of Admiral Parangosky. The more interesting thing of note was the Master Chief's service record, showing the various medals that he's earned along with pictures of a younger John 117. What I find really interesting here is this image of John at age 13, showing him already donning Mjolnir armor. In core canon, the Spartan 2s didn't receive their augmentations until age 14 after 8 years of training. And for anyone who doesn't know, those augmentations are very important. Without them, Mjolnir's physical enhancements can be too much for the human body to bear. This is why only Spartans can wear the armor. Moving over to the medals, we see several and how many the Chief has earned by this point in his career. In the book Halo: The Fall of Reach, it's noted that by 2552, John had been awarded every major service medal save for the Prisoner of War medal, obviously. Seems that Silver John isn't too far off, having several impressive medals himself. Many of them are displayed prominently and there is accompanying text, though it can be hard to make out, so we're just going to give our best shot at it. First up we have the Colonial Cross, which was awarded here for John's actions during Operation Switchback, an operation first mentioned in John 117's dossier included with the limited editions of Halo 5. It also looks like there's a mention of a Spartan 114, which would be an entirely new Spartan 2, but it's possible that the number is just 117 and very hard to make out. The Colonial Cross has appeared in the games before, awarded to Sergeant Johnson at the start of Halo 2, and it seems the design for the show was pulled straight from the games. We next have a Purple Heart, awarded following Operation Talon, which, in both core canon and the Silver timelines, was a mission to kidnap a former Marine colonel turned rebel, Robert Watts. The colonel was kidnapped right out of his own asteroid base, Eridanus Secundus, and John was wounded during the mission. In core canon, John's injury was the result of him taking a bullet for Spartan Sam 034, basically John's best friend among the Spartans. Sam wouldn't serve very long, though his sacrifice would show that the Covenant could be beaten, that there was a chance for victory. Sam would have a lasting impact both on the Master Chief himself, as seen even decades later in Halo Infinite, and the Spartan 2s as a whole. You can occasionally hear Spartan units in Halo Wars shout, "For Samuel." Next up, we have the Liberation Medal, awarded following Operation Horizon, another mission mentioned in the Halo 5 dossiers that otherwise has no details. Interestingly, however, blue and green teams are mentioned as associated units. Though the Master Chief is best known for leading blue team, Spartan teams are flexible by nature, often changing based on mission needs, at least in core canon. Green team was traditionally operated by Spartan Kurt 051, who would later lead the Spartan 3 program. While hard to make out, it appears as though his mission took place in the Algol system, which is home to Algolis. In core canon, Algolis was home to Project Runting Yggdrasil, which produced the Mark I ADS from the Halo Legends episode, The Prototype. It was also following the Battle of Algolis that Atriox rebelled against the Covenant, founding the Banished. Spartan 4 Paul DeMarco was also from Algolis. After that, we have some details on a joint service achievement, awarded after Operation Smoking Aces. The site doesn't mention a ton of details, but it largely seems to line up with the operation from core canon, mentioning counterinsurgency operations against the United Rebel Front on the colony of Victoria, General Howard Graves being killed during the op, and the Spartans being supported by the destroyer UNSC Bunker Hill. The full details, if anyone is interested, can be found in the book Halo: Ghosts of Onyx, which is up there as one of the best Halo novels for a lot of people, and for good reason. Next, we have the Silver Star Medal and Naval Action Ribbon, which we'll address together as they both have to do with a fairly important operation, at least in core canon, Operation Fallen Walls. Though the op would be unnamed for years, Fallen Walls was the first action described in the Halo books, featured in the prologue of Halo: The Fall of Reach. Fallen Walls, appropriately, was the codename for action taken during the Battle of Jericho 7, a reference to the biblical Walls of Jericho, which fell after 7 days. Fallen Walls ended with the Spartans of Blue Team providing a distraction for Red Team to plant a nuke, and while successful, the UNSC was still forced to abandon the planet. Fallen Walls marked the last time UNSC would deploy Spartans to a colony after losing orbital superiority. Jericho 7 was also home to Jameson Locke and the individual who would become Spartan B312, aka Noble 6. The Silver Star medal and naval action ribbons largely seem to line up with core canon, mentioning the detonation of a Havoc nuclear device along with Red Team and the UNSC Resolute, the destroyer where the Spartans were recalled after it was decided to abandon the planet. Interestingly, it also mentions an after-action report about assets recovered. While no assets were recovered by the Spartans in core canon, there was a later mission in 2540, Operation Guardian Lance, which recovered some Covenant equipment from the planet, later brought to Sword Base on Reach. Finally, at least for the medals, we have the Unicom citation awarded for Operation Iron Fist. In core canon, the operation's goal was asset denial and partial recovery of critical cyber infrastructure assets, and took place on the colony of Miranda, all of which seem to be in line with what I can make out from the website. In core canon, the operation was launched immediately following Operation Warm Blanket, better known to fans as the Halo Legends episode, The Package. The medal also mentions an ONI Beta 5 team. The Beta 5 division of ONI was in charge of the Spartan 3 program in core canon. Since the drop of Episode 2, the first thing to pop up on the website has changed, now showing a brain activity monitor, presumably for John 117. I haven't been able to identify anything all that significant though. There's a mention of a Wiseman-Planck scale, though I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. Planck refers to a theoretical physicist, Max Planck, best known for Planck units, a series of natural units based on universal constants. Wiseman might be named for Chaim Wiseman, a biochemist who lived around the same time as Planck and is considered the father of industrial fermentation, or the process of using microorganisms to produce chemicals for human use. While neither scientist had direct contributions to the neurological field, there are institutes named after these men that actively research the brain. The window also tracks gamma and theta brainwave activity. Gamma, which we can see rising above tolerance levels, is associated with higher brain functions such as cognition and memory. Given recent events and John's emerging memories, it makes sense to see it fluctuating so much. Theta waves are associated with behavioral states of alertness, attention, orientation, and working memory, and I've seen at least one source compare theta waves to autopilot. In the recent episode, Soren mentioned a pellet implanted in Spartans' backs to make them combat-focused, or numb to quote Soren directly, which might read as high theta wave activity. There is other writing on the screen, but nothing else that I can make any sense of. So, with that, we can finally dive into the rest of the website, which at the moment includes character profiles and additional information on locations from the show. Naturally, we'll start with the Silver Team profiles. For the members of Silver Team, we can see that they're all assigned to the Asymmetric Warfare Research Group within FleetCom. In core canon, no group with this name existed, though there was the Office of Naval Intelligence's Asymmetric Action Group, part of the Beta 5 division of ONI Section 3. Few details on them exist, though their most notable creation was the Mark V Mjolnir operator helmet. In John's profile, we can see notes about his then recent departure from Reach, quote, departed Epsilon Eridani system from SSEP Marcher. SSEP is short for Safe Slipspace Entry Point and refers to a calculated point at which it is safe for a ship to enter slipspace without dragging anything else into slipspace. When the Prophet of Regret made a jump to Installation 05 from Earth, it dragged with it debris from New Mombasa in addition to the UNSC and Amber Clad. This concept, the SSEP, has interestingly only been mentioned one other time in the lore, in the novel Halo Contact Harvest. Appropriate given that the title of the first episode was called Contact. We can additionally see that John's current mission area is Stolen Gauntlet, referring to his going AWOL, particularly while in possession of Mjolnir armor. At the bottom, the protocol for Stolen Gauntlet includes retrieval or denial. Since the Episode 2 update, Chief's profile now mentions him being detained under Admiral Hood's authority and his security clearance having been deactivated pending evaluation, with medical maintenance and neurological exams ordered by Dr. Halsey. Moving over to the other members of Silver Team, we can see that while Kai-125 is a Petty Officer First Class, about the rank we would expect her to hold based on core canon, Riz-028 and Vanak-134 are both Lieutenants Junior Grade, and O2 Officer rank, meaning they both outrank the Master Chief. In core canon, by the end of the Human Covenant War, while most surviving Spartan 2s still held enlisted ranks, Fred 104 was the one to have been promoted to Lieutenant Junior grade. To keep things brief, Kurt 051, who had been kidnapped in secret by Oni to run the Spartan 3 program, held the rank of Lieutenant Commander as part of his duties. Before sacrificing himself to deny the Covenant access to a Forerunner site, he promoted Fred 104 to Lieutenant Junior grade to give him command of the forces present at the time. Fred would only be recovered by the UNSC after the war finally ended. When he and Blue Team finally reunited with the Master Chief after the events of Halo 4, Fred, despite now outranking John, deferred leadership of the team to the Chief, as Fred had little interest in command. Moving on though, Silver Team is currently assigned to SAR-Sector 1-Oni Direct. Sector 1 is Fleetcom Sector 1, which, in core canon, contained the Epsilon Eridani and Lambda Serpentis systems, the latter home to the world Jericho 7. Sector 1 was also under the command of Admiral Roland Fremont in core canon. Continuing through the profiles, we find a mention of an operation called Defiant Glass, which seems to be a general anti-Covenant operation. The op is likely named for the Covenant's habit of burning the surfaces of the planets they invade, a process known as glassing. Defiant, though appropriate, may be a reference to the Halo Reach Defiant Map Pack DLC. Riz's profile mentions Oni Section 3, one of 4 primary sections of Oni. In core canon, these included Section 3, the Top Secret Projects Division, which includes the Spartan 2 and 3 programs, the Materials Group, the manufacturer responsible for developing Mjolnir, and the Watershed Division, best known for producing the semi-powered infiltration armor used by Spartan 3s. Section 2, the Propaganda Arm of Oni, Section 1, Intelligence Gathering and Espionage, and Section 0, the Internal Affairs Department. In Kai's profile, we can see that her sniper rifle is an S7 prototype that she was seemingly testing for the Materials Group. The sniper rifles of the Halo shooters all come from the SRS-99 series of anti-materiel rifles, with the Series 7 being the new model featured in Halo Infinite. From Vonnik's profile, we can see that his debrief following Madrigal helped Oni assess Master Chief's threat level. The Silver Team profiles then end mentioning the Spartans en route to the UNSC Stalwart Dawn, which we saw last episode. Along with being a Stalwart class light frigate, I forgot to mention that this class of frigates are produced by Sonoviet Heavy Machinery, a company probably best recognized from Halo Reach. Following the Episode 2 updates, Silver Team have been returned to direct action as part of Defiant Glass and put on standby. Our next character profile is Commander Miranda Keyes, daughter of Captain Jacob Keyes and Dr. Catherine Elizabeth Halsey. She's assigned to Oni's Xenomaterials Exploitation Group, or XEG, which does pretty much what you'd expect: recovery and reverse engineering of alien technology. Her current assignment is to R&D within White Tower, the central Fleetcom tower on Reach in the Silver Timeline. I'm not entirely sure what Keen Luna is, however. In core canon, though, Miranda began living with her father on Luna at the age of 6, Halsey believing Jacob could provide a better life for their daughter. Further on, we can see that Miranda has clearance for programs Aster and Lightspark. Project Aster was the codename for the Spartan 2 augmentations, named for the Aster genus of flowers. Interestingly, the 1918 Hungarian Revolution was referred to as the Aster Revolution due to the flower being worn by protesters in Budapest. This may just be a coincidence, but I do find it interesting that a Hungarian revolution would have a connection to asters, as Hungarian was a common language spoken on Reach in core canon. Additionally, the revolution was also known as the Chrysanthemum Revolution, which is interesting since the Spartan 3 augmentations were known as Project Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemums are also part of the family Asteraceae, same as asters. And since I know some people are going to be curious at this point, the Spartan 4 augmentations were known as Project Orchid, and the Spartan 1 or Orion Project augmentations were called Project Iris. Project Lightspark doesn't appear to have any core canon connections at the moment, but with such a name, I can't help but wonder if it might be connected to the Cortana project of the Silver Timeline. We next come to Captain Jacob Keyes, also part of the Asymmetric Warfare Research Group in the Silver Timeline. In core canon, Keyes earned the rank of commander after the Battle of the Rubble in 2535, detailed of course in Halo: The Cole Protocol. He would be promoted to captain after the Battle of Sigma Octantis IV in July 2552, and escaping to Halo just over a month later on August 30th. While much of his core canon service remains unknown, Keyes did often work on classified operations, including helping Dr. Halsey scout out recruits for the Spartan 2 program, and being one of the few with knowledge of the Covenant's assault on Reach prior to the planet's fall on August 30th. Most, even in the UNSC, were kept in the dark about the initial Covenant invasions prior to that. Back to the website though, following episode 2, Keyes is back overseeing Operation Defiant Glass, and involved on some level with the investigation of the power surge from the Forerunner relic. Next up is the ever-intimidating Admiral Margaret Parangosky, confirmed here to be Commander-in-Chief of Oni, or Sync Oni, just like her core canon counterpart. As a quick aside, if Parangosky is ever depicted in core canon, which she has not been at this point, I hope she's still portrayed or modeled after Shabana Azmi, who has been killing it as Parangosky. Anyway, the site doesn't reveal too much information on the Admiral, only noting a request from Admiral Hood about Master Chief's escape in episode 1, and her approval of Cortana and review of Defiant Glass's strategic goals. Hopefully we'll see some more information on her as the site updates. Since the episode 2 update, the site now features a profile for Soren 066, the Rogue Spartan. He's classified as part of a Tier 2 criminal cadre operating in Sector 1 Libre Arm, placing the 23 Libre system, home to Madrigal, Hesiod, and the Rubble, in Fleetcom Sector 1, same as Reach. Soren's profile notes that all information on the former Spartan is to be forwarded to Oni Section 1 and to a counter-piracy action team. Like with John, Stolen Gauntlet protocols are in effect concerning Soren, with modifications based on the Soren protocol, which we heard Parangosky mention back in episode 1.
Full Soren protocol.
Following that, we come to Jin Ha, Kwan's father and formerly a Tier 2A insurrection commander. His profile contained few details after episode 1, though the recent update mentions Ha allied groups on Madrigal, something we saw Venture trying to snuff out with lethal force in the recent episode. Closing out the character profiles, we come to Kwan Ha. Initially classified as a Tier 5C Insurrectionist Associate with no CAA, Colonial Administration Authority, records, she was upgraded to a Tier 3B Associate following her escape from Reach, and is now an Article 72 fugitive. I believe I've mentioned this before, but Article 72, the Kill Order, does not currently have a core canon counterpart that we know of. At the moment, the UNSC is seeking information on Kwan from their assets on Madrigal, and have forwarded biometric information from Condor 325 to Madrigal security forces. That will bring an end to the characters' profiles, which means we can start diving into the locations. The first of which is Earth. The UNSC's capital world, the Earth is home to just over 7 billion people as of a 2550 census. In core canon, the Earth's population was closer to 10 billion prior to the Battle of Earth. The planet's climate is noted as managed, and its ecology is under remediation, which seems to mean that humanity has managed to overcome the issues of global warming to some degree, perhaps even reversing those problems to some degree. The description goes on to note that the entire Sol system, from Mercury to the Oort cloud, are closely tied together through a web of information sharing and resource trade, made easy thanks to cheap spacelift and fast fusion drives. In core canon, Mercury provides little value to the UNSC outside of an antimatter production facility and solar research facilities. Colonization of Venus was attempted in the 23rd century but ultimately failed. As previously indicated, Earth's moon of Luna is home to a UEG colony in core canon, from which Jacob Keyes, future ODST Michael Mickey Crespo, and future Spartan 4 Sarah Palmer all hail. Luna is also home to the Luna OCS Academy, an officer candidate school Keyes taught at for a while. Mars was humanity's first colonized and terraformed planet, said to have an Earth-like climate by the 26th century. Its satellite Phobos is used as a penal colony. Orbiting Jupiter, Io is home to a UNSC colony, as is the partially terraformed Ganymede. Callisto holds a number of UNSC bases, and Europa is fully terraformed and colonized. Near Saturn, the moon Titan is used as an industrial colony, and an orbiting station called Castellaneta is a popular destination for tourists, as well as the place Edward Buck and Veronica Dare first met. Uranus and Neptune don't see much use by the UNSC in core canon, while Pluto has a number of research and monitoring stations orbiting it. As for the Sol System's Oort cloud, that was home to the project that became the UNSC Infinity. Getting back to the Silver Timeline though, the last note for Earth's profile mentions the ongoing upgrade and expansion of the planet's orbital defense grid, which we would first see in Halo 2. We next come to Reach, the first extrasolar colony humanity settled, and the UNSC's military powerhouse second only to Earth, thanks in large part to its rich titanium deposits. Most of the planet's statistics are pretty in line with core canon, even using the same population count from a 2535 census as in core canon. The climate is temperate but volatile, and interestingly, the ecology of the planet includes, quote, limited T-clad introduction, meaning limited introduction of non-native species. I'm not entirely sure what the T means in this context, but it could be something like terrestrial or terra, potentially referring to species imported from Earth. Like in core canon, it seems that Reach was fairly habitable to begin with, not requiring much in the way of terraforming efforts. Reach also proved vital for future colonization efforts, being a confluence of slipspace routes. For some context, slipstream space, or slipspace for short, is a multispatial dimension that basically provides shortcuts through the universe. If normal space can be thought of as a flat sheet, slipspace can be thought of as the same sheet crumpled up, allowing for faster travel between locations. Because of the nature of slipspace, the distance between locations is rarely consistent. For example, while it can take as few as 4 days to travel between Reach and Earth, a distance of about 10.5 light-years, travel between Earth and Harvest, an outer colony in the Epsilon Indi system, can take weeks or months despite Epsilon Indi being only 11.8 light-years distant. The real space distance is barely over a light-year, but the travel times are radically different. Additionally, in core canon, because human slipspace technology is basically in its infancy, travel to and from the same destinations can be inconsistent, and predicting precisely where a ship will exit slipspace is difficult at best. This can result in human fleets exiting slipspace wildly out of formation. Because of this, slipspace routes, or slipspace lanes, routes through the slipstream with consistent travel times and exits, are invaluable for intersystem trade and communication. In core canon, Reach also had an orbital defense grid made up of 20 orbital magnetic accelerator cannons, or MACs. The Silver Timeline Reach doesn't directly mention orbital MACs, but it is noted as having a network of surface fortifications and weapon satellites, in addition to patrolling warships. Next up, we have the first planet we saw in the TV series, Madrigal. Despite its depiction in Episode 1, the planet is widely populated, we did see a major city in the trailers, with a population of over 59 million according to a 2537 census. In core canon, we never got many details on Madrigal prior to its fall to the Covenant. As noted in Episode 1, Madrigal is home to rich deposits of deuterium, or heavy hydrogen, an isotope that acts as a vital fuel for starships. Unfortunately for the UNSC, a well-organized insurrectionist movement in 2496 led to the destruction of the planet's local colonial military authority garrison and the collapse of the UEG-authorized government. Peacekeeping forces would ultimately pull out of the planet in 2535 as the Covenant threat was demanding greater attention from the UNSC. This confirms that the Covenant War in the Silver Timeline has been going on since at least 2535, 5 years after Soren would make his escape from Spartan training. Since 2535, Oni has been monitoring the planet, organizing targeted strikes in cooperation with local collaborators. By 2552, the planet's ecology has been classified as a Stage 4 terraformed biosphere, though one undergoing systemic regression, perhaps as a result of the UNSC being kicked off the planet. Without the terraforming technology provided by the UNSC and the UEG, and the means to keep it operational, it seems like the planet's biosphere is slowly regressing to its natural state. The recent Covenant invasion has, however, opened the door for Venture Grath to take control as the new UNSC-backed governor of Madrigal. From Madrigal, we move right over to the Rubble, the network of asteroid colonies strewn together through docking tubes and cables. Created in the shadow of Hesiod, a gas giant in the same 23 Librae system as Madrigal, the Rubble is home to outcasts of all sorts, from insurrectionists to pirates to those just looking for an escape and more. In the Silver Timeline, it appears that the Rubble started under the ownership of Zedon Industries, the company whose name was plastered all over the outpost Kwan Ha was from. Estimated by Oni to have a population of around 54,000, the Rubble is a major transshipment point for all sorts of unauthorized activity, including piracy and smuggling in both Sectors 1 and 3. It's been damn cool to see the Rubble brought to life, though I'm still sad that they disregarded the fact that Kigyar, or Jackals, helped establish the colony and traded with humans there. While that all ultimately served the plot of Halo the Cole Protocol, it would have been cool to see that aspect of the Rubble carry over, in one form or another, into the Silver Timeline. Finally, we come to the Covenant Holy City of High Charity. In core canon, the city was constructed following the devastating First Contact War between the Sanshayum, the Prophets, and the Sangheili, the Elites. The war came to an end when the races signed the Writ of Union, founding the Covenant and beginning their search for Halo. The dome of the city was constructed out of a chunk of the Sanshayum homeworld that was pulled free when their Forerunner key ship, the Anodyne Spirit, left the planet. Since then, the dome has been added to with the dirt of the homeworlds of each member species in a symbolic gesture of unity. The Forerunner key ship, later referred to as the Dreadnought, would lay dormant at the city's center. In the Silver Timeline, little has been revealed about High Charity, though the website does give us some hints. By analyzing traffic from the Covenant BattleNet, referred to by the Covenant as their proselytization relays, Oni has been able to confirm the station's existence and function as a central logistics and coordination node for the hegemony. While the UNSC could largely only guess at the station's existence in core canon, in the Silver Timeline, the station was directly observed in 2540 over the glassed colony of Harvest. Via Project Base Arrow, long-range sensors have been able to estimate the size and mass of High Charity, though additional details remain elusive. And with that, I think we can wrap up this first dive into the Halo TV series website. There is technically one last interactive object on the website at the moment, this keyboard that you can enter symbols into, but nothing about this keyboard or the codes to enter have been discovered as of my writing this. We can talk about that when things change, however. For now though, I hope you all enjoyed this crawl through the website and the new lore revealed through it. I can say I've been having a lot of fun comparing Silver Timeline lore to established canon. It feels a lot like the early days of Halo, when we had fewer hints about where things were going and how things would unfold. It's just been a ton of fun. Though, as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, this has been Halo Canon. Thank you once again for watching, Canonites. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, maybe even share it around, both of which help the channel. And if you aren't subscribed already, consider becoming a fellow Canonite and hitting that notification bell so you won't miss any future videos. Halo Canon now has a Discord server, which you can find linked in the description box below. If you like discussing any aspect of Halo's lore, well, that's what we specialize in. Thank you all once more, and keep on being awesome.